I would say the most challenging, my greatest foil, my greatest joy, my greatest practice, my greatest struggle has been offering service. It makes up 60%, I would say 50, 60% of our life here. And I'm going to share this in context with the prayer that we do, the offering service prayer. Now, what I've seen over the years is that Venerable has composed, and in the Blue Prayer Book, they're called verses for various occasions. Well, they're not that, that sounds so small, that sounds so informal, that sounds so, yeah, for various occasions. Well, each one of these prayers, as you saw yesterday when Venerable Chuni unpacked the monastic mind motivation, these prayers are profound. They are difficult to do, and they're extremely joyful when you get a light in your eyes that you're actually tracking them. So I wanted to share, and what I see them as is, at least this has been my experience, is that, as Venerable has been sharing this morning, is that, we get caught up in just life here. We get caught up in the list, we get caught up in the things that need to be done, the things that we like to do, the things that we have aversion to. And the mind gets afflicted and gets crazy about that. And so over the course of the years, she has composed or brought in from other traditions these verses. And the best way that I can describe these verses is like they are like a lasso. All right? We're running around here like crazy people, trying to get our way, navigate, trying to create virtue. And you go through one of these verses, and it's like taking a lasso. I don't know. Do people know what a lasso? Venerable Sonam, do you know? Drone Maid, do you know what a lasso is? Well, let me just explain what it happens in cowboy culture. Is that it's usually, and that's, we're in the wild, wild west. We're going to take the wild, wild west as analogy. Is that it is a long, rather hefty rope, and it's got a ring on it, and it's tied in a particular way so that when a cowboy or a cowgirl is doing any type of lassoing, they're usually on a horse, they trained for years, because this rope, when it goes around a horse's head or it goes around a calf or some animal that's running away from you at the speed of light, you train for years to get that thing going, and you let it go, and it goes over the top of the animal's head, and it tightens just enough. Sometimes it knocks it on its side, sometimes it knocks it on its butt, but the whole purpose of it is to restrain that animal. So these prayers that we have, these verses we have, sometimes it feels like my mind is so out of control, and then we stop and we go, we are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. This is a lasso that Venerable has put into this prayer. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that have come up with this prayer, just going through, trying to share this with you. So I think that offering service, maybe 50, 60% of our life. And as time has gone on, the community's gotten larger. Our guests have increased, and also the complexity of what actually has to be done to keep the Abbey growing, to keep it flourishing, to share the Dharma. And so this has become such a profound training. As practical, we do this 365 days out of the year, and there's a conglomeration of how that's done. Either you do it by yourself, autonomously, independently, if you're lucky, or you want to. Sometimes you do it in collaboration with community members, sometimes you do it with guests, and sometimes you do it with both. And that these prayers are so vast. It's all about what to cultivate, what to abandon. It's about bodhicitta. It's about awakening. And so sometimes I just look at them and go, okay, this is just an aspiration, because rarely, especially in the offering service prayer, do I ever attain some of the things that I'm being asked, how I'm being asked to think. But the lasso is really, really helpful. The analogy is really, really helpful. So I want to share, I was going to go through the prayer, but I didn't get past the first sentence. All right, so this has five sentences to it. I'm going to read it out, and then I'm going to talk about the first sentence. So here's our offering service. We say this a few times a day since I've been here. I don't know when this actually started, Venerable. Do you know when we started the prayer? We used to early, right? pre-Chenrezig? Yeah, okay. Because we've been offering service since the first day that Venerable ever moved here. Even before. Getting her here was offering service. Helping her buy the place was offering service. So here's the prayer. We are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and to sentient beings. While working with others, differences in ideas and ways of doing things may arise. We want to change that. These are natural and are a source of creative exchange. Our minds don't need to make them into conflicts. We will endeavor to listen deeply and communicate wisely and kindly as we work together for our common goal. By using our body and speech to support the values we deeply believe in, generosity, kindness, ethical conduct, love, and compassion, we will create great positive potential, which we dedicate for the enlightenment of all beings. What this prayer is asking us to do is a lot. So, the strategy, the wisdom is to look at that first sentence and understand what this is actually inviting us to do. So that's what I've been looking at since yesterday. Because when I say this prayer, 90% of the time, I'm already out the door. All right? We've got the plan, we've negotiated, we've heard which ones have kvetched, which ones are willing, who's not feeling well. How many departments are we actually going to try to support today? And the weather's lousy, by the way. Okay? So just to even go, because we already have to go into, while working with others, differences in ideas and ways of doing things will arise. You can almost guarantee it. So to be able to go through all of this incredible, profound activity, the first sentence becomes the lasso. It's the one that really gets us tied in. And this is what has come up for me today. First of all, we are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and to sentient beings. That doesn't say we are grateful for the opportunity to serve myself. Okay, so I, me, my, and mine, there's an evolution here, but we have to understand that this is not about me. Now, we are in the sentient beings milieu, for sure, but when you think about who we're taking care of here, who we're offering service to, we are offering service to the entire existent impermanent phenomena called living beings. All the holy beings are included within the three jewels, and all the living beings throughout time and space are included under the milieu of sentient beings. Just the thought of everything we do is going to take care of and serve somebody in this limitless milieu of sentient beings and holy beings. So what are we grateful for? All right. We are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Finally, somebody, some reliable guide, some reliable being, some reliable teaching, after all the time in this life that I have taken refuge, that I have sought the guidance in unreliable, unreasonable, irrational, crazy refuges, I have finally found something that I can count on to take refuge in and to serve. And the thing that's lovely about this is that not only am I serving them, but if I want to become a Buddha in the long-term, deeper meaning, I am somewhat serving myself. Because the two intentions that we fulfill to become a Buddha is the welfare of oneself and the welfare of others. So to be able to become a Buddha and to be able to offer service to the holy beings, I am actually being able to fulfill my own aims. So this is actually an extremely self-serving statement in the deepest sense of the word. And sentient beings. When I think, and I've been starting to think about it a lot this year, every time we do our 3 prostrations in the hall, and sometimes I say this out loud, is I am here because sentient beings help me to create the causes for being here. that I have had the karma, how I got here, over who knows how long, because to get a precious human life, particularly one like this, we've got robes, we've got our teachers, we've got a community, we've got a rarefied environment. We have the Dharma rain, right? We keep talking about the Dharma rain this year. I would not have been able to create the causes by myself to get this. And who knows how many lifetimes each of us previously have had to create the causes to be here. And which sentient beings have encouraged us, fed us, empowered us? How many sentient beings have disliked us, killed us, hated us, to still be able to help us create the causes to have this life? And so when I look at the welfare of others, and I think about it within the context of not just this life, but all the beings that had to support me to have this life. I mean, we talk about the 3 reasons for precious human life: ethical conduct, practicing the 6 far-reaching practices, and making very intentional aspirational prayers. I like to include everyone who's ever been my mother, my father, my best friend, my enemy, anybody who has ever helped me to create the causes for me to be here in this life. And so when I look at that sentence and I think about, well, what is gratitude about? Gratitude is about finding and creating the causes to be able to serve the 3 jewels, the most reliable guide, the most reliable refuge that you could possibly have in all of the universe, and to be able to serve those very sentient beings that made it possible for me to even have this thought, for me to even have this body, for me to even have this opportunity. That the gratitude, I mean, when I put this together this morning, I said, I should be down on my knees. And the offering service is a small part of how we do this, but it is so important to serve the 3 jewels and sentient beings. Because then, if I can hold this for even part of my day, while working with others, differences in ideas and ways of doing things may arise. Okay. They are natural and a source of creative exchange. We'll work it out. Our minds don't need to make them into conflicts. I don't want to harm anybody. I only want to benefit. So when you start looking at all the activity that seems to be a really, really big deal, because my mind's feeling kind of nuts today, if I can go to that first sentence and ground myself. And I've had days when I was facilitating, and we'd sit around the table in the back there, and we'd go through the negotiating. We'd go through sometimes there's a lot of stuff we got to work out. And sometimes we're all feeling a little squirrely, and we're laughing and kind of being silly. When I say we are grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, to sentient beings, it puts me right in that chair. My mind's not scattered on what we're going to do and where we're going to go. It brings me right down to that chair and says, gosh, what a precious, rare opportunity we have to be able to do this. And the merit we accumulate and the support we give to those who are also creating merit. So I find that when I see this in an analogy of this lasso, and that I'm this little calf, running around like a little calf, kicking her heels and going through fences and jumping over people and overpowering people and locking my knees and pushing back against my teacher, if I can say this sentence and mean it and come to it, everything else softens up, everything opens up, and everything's possible. I don't have to fight. Sometimes I look at this, I go, I'm in for a fight there. I'm in for a problem there. By using my body and speech to support the values we deepen, what are my values today? I'd rather be out sleeping someplace. I mean, it totally takes the impossibility of what this is asking me to do and puts it within the realm of tenable. So, for what it's worth, offering service, I've been doing this for 19 years. And I am slow on the uptake. And that this still is a challenge. But I'll tell you, if I can ground myself in that sentence, a whole lot of this softens up. The bodhicitta, I mean, gosh, it's just like, let's do it. Let's do it, man. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be helpful. It's going to be supportive. It's going to be capacity growing. It's going to be Because I know coming into offering service, it's hard not to have the aversion. It's hard not to have the yes, but it's hard not to have the I don't want to, I don't like to, I'd rather do something else. It's too hard, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too smoky. Not enough time. We have all the sorts of reasons, which is why the conflicts usually do arise. Forget about may. It should put most definitely will arise. So, this has been my life practice. I have loved what I had, the fruits of my labor on this prayer. I love saying with people who aren't Buddhists. We have some folks who come here that help offering service Saturdays that are not Buddhists, and to watch them contemplate, their eyes go out into the forest and they go, wow. Because there's a footnote in the book. Footnote number 25 says, do this at your job. Do this at work, So this is one of the most profound practices. But if we understand what gratitude is in the opportunity that we have, it makes it all very, very doable.